So since today is World Tiger Day, July 29th, I've decided to bring you along and have a little chat, tiger researcher to tiger researcher. Please introduce yourself.
So I am Tanya, Erzinclioglu, and I have co-founded the charity For Tigers, of which I'm the director. And we work around Thailand to try and help improve captive tiger welfare in various facilities through direct aid, through education and research as well, which covers everything from welfare assessments to actual enrichment workshops, of which you are a part as well.
Yes, I am a part of your trustee.
And now you're starting to branch out recently as well with Project Luca, which is really exciting. And it's got a really fun backstory and what you're kind of moving forwards with as well.
Yes. So Luca came to be from, I'm a researcher. I do a lot of animal behavior, animal personality, cognition, and I find it really, really interesting, motivation, why birds sing that particular song, why tigers like this particular color. And I think things are really, really interesting. It's just that all of it is hidden, in research papers or behind really, really intimidating libraries at, London Zoo or things like that. That's why I came up with Luca, where Luca came from the scientific acronym, Last University Common Ancestor.
And so what does your motto mean? Because you have it on your t-shirt here and it's really interesting.
Yes, so our motto is animal-centered, human-made. And so I think it stands for the fact that Luca, going forward, whether it be in our research, in our new projects, in our videos, we will keep the animals centered. So that means that we won't force them to do things for our videos. We respect them, and if they choose volunteer to be in the videos, that's great. And if they don't, that's also great. And also with human made, I think, we're in the age where there's a lot of AI, whether it be in art, in science. You might agree with this as well. Research, scientists, medicine, science, STEM, it all came from the love of humans, where you and me loved tigers enough to actually go through with learning properly and officially, and sometimes we're sat there 8 hours a day just staring at a tiger, and I think that is the love of humans. I would like to keep Luca as human as possible, like you do with For Tigers, and that is behind human made, where we might not be perfect, but it is from the love of humans, basically. Yes. So I feel like a lot of people wonder, why tigers, out of all the amazing animals in the world?
I mean, that's a great question, especially as I wasn't very subtle with naming the charity. So For Tigers is quite self-explanatory. It was a complete accident. I mean, to be fair, tigers had always been my favorite animal. And I came to Thailand back in 2010 and ended up at Tiger Temple, where you could interact with tigers. And I started volunteering there. And that's kind of where the love blossomed and grew, because I started looking after the tigers, and then stayed there for 6 years until its closure. And by that point, I was in deep. I'm afraid I was in love, and I wanted to keep helping the tigers as much as possible. So when the tigers were confiscated by the Thai government, I basically followed the tigers, and we started with our little sort of campaign, which was Follow the Tigers, to try and make sure that we could keep providing them with a good quality of life.
Yes.
And along the way, For Tigers grew up from that, and now has expanded from what was a little selfishly focused only on the Tiger Temple tigers to broaden. Yeah, everyone in Thailand. So how about you? Where did your tiger sort of love develop?
I got to volunteering at a local Thai zoo at 2016. And then, I got to, work with everyone. Sea lions, giraffes, zebras, dolphins, you name it. And then in that first week, I got to meet my first tiger, which his name is Samson. I talk about Samson a lot. He was very patient with me, kind of helped me on the job. And I think that's when I fell in love, and I realized that, tigers, they're not like what we think. They're not vicious animals. They're apex predators, but they're reasonable. You can reason with them when you work with them, If they like you, or if they like something, they say. If they don't, as long as you respect that, they're very, very easy to work with. Do you remember, or is there like a pivotal tiger?
Yes, I mean, and he is instrumental into why I stayed. So my first month at Tiger Temple as a volunteer, there were 4 cubs. They were about 2.5 months old. And there was one called Happy. I mean, it was there was a group of us, and we each kind of picked a different cub, and it sort of stuck. And basically I got to know him again. He was quite sweet, quite relaxed, quite chilled. I sort of grew with him. So my learning of tigers and working with them and understanding how they sort of behaved and their wants and needs grew with looking after this one tiger cub consistently. And then as I got more proficient and there were more cubs, I then branched out and started looking after all different levels of an age. He was the hook that kept me in and basically meant that I didn't leave when I should have.
Yeah. I mean, by the time I left that zoo, I was looking after Samson's grandson, I think.
Yes.
And I mean, you grow with them and you fall in love, and the rest is history, obviously. And so, obviously, we know, but not a lot of people know, that my speciality is tiger personality.
Yes.
Whilst yours is
Qualitative behaviour assessment, which is a little bit of a mouthful, so we do shorten it to QBA.
Yes, and the funny thing is, it's two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about QBA.
So QBA is a little bit of a methodology to try and get a read on how the animal is feeling. So one of the common sort of research methodologies is ethograms, which is what the animal is doing. So are they walking? Are they jumping? Are they climbing? Whereas with QBA, it's how are they doing that behavior? Are they walking in a happy way? Are they walking in a depressed way? Or are they jumping in an excited way? Or are they jumping in a scared way? And by adding these sort of emotional elements to the behavior, you get a little bit of a better picture of the whole animal and how it's feeling in its environment, which when used in conjunction with other animal welfare indicators and measures can then help to give you an idea of what might be going on with the tiger and where things might need changing or keeping the same, depending.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting because, so personality, you know, very intuitive. It's the tiger's personality, you know. It's how it reacts with the environment, you know. For example, we know in research that tigers share 3 of the big, you know, the big 5 from the human studies. So tigers have aggressive, confident, calm, and timid and anxious. If a tiger is calm but confident, it is more likely to appear calm in QBA.
Yes.
when faced with different things. And I think that's the really cute thing of us, where we love tigers and we're cut from the same cloth, basically.
We currently still work with the Thai government where the Tiger Temple tigers were taken. We still help to try and improve facilities. So a couple of years ago, we finished building some more new enclosures in one of them. Mm-hmm. I'd like to go and continue that work and build a few more if we can get funding. But we're also doing enrichment workshops, which we have again done with the Thai government, but are now branching out and doing them with some of the tourism facilities as well to try and help these facilities improve their welfare, give them sort of tips and ideas on how to keep the tigers a bit happier in their environments as well. It's a bit of work. We're sort of dotted around all over the place. There's no one static place, and things are always kind of changing a little bit, but it means it's never boring. It's never a dull moment. And so far it's been really, really positive because the reception has been really, really great. So it's looking up.
Yeah, and I mean, as someone who is a part of 4 Tigers, Luca will obviously support 4 Tigers, and obviously we're doing this thing on Tiger Day.
Tiger Day it is.
So hopefully, you know, we get more people in love. So I know that 4 Tigers works a lot with obviously animal welfare, whether it be in the public zoo or, you know, facilities. And you know, there's this saying that animal welfare is a human issue. You and I, we've been in the industry for a very long time. We've seen different approaches. And I think something that's very, very important when working with animal welfare anywhere is anthropology.
Why don't you expand on that?
My formative years were in the UK. And so a lot of my thinking is very Western. And a lot of my, you know, half of my thinking is Western, half of my thinking is Thai. And so when we work with these facilities, I think, I mean, we do it intuitively, which we're very lucky to. However, it is very important that when we approach these facilities, that might not be as ideal, I guess. I mean, nowhere is really 100% there.
I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect zoo at this point in time.
No, and I think that's the point. The point is, we're not perfect, but we're trying, and I think that's really important. And that brings me to, you know, whenever we, you know, you and I have seen tigers in various different situations, from really, really bad to really, really good. And what you and I can agree on, is that the frustration that you and I feel is never with the people, really, not especially not the people on the ground. We're frustrated at the situation, and I think this is where anthropology is very important, where we have to make sure that our anger isn't directed at the people that found themselves in this situation, basically.
I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and I wouldn't say there is anger. I would say that it's not anger. Like it's not a situation to be angry about. It's unfortunate, and it's just something that has happened, and there is just, you need to learn the ways to work around cultural differences and to understand why something is how it is in this facility, why is it different in another facility, what is the reason behind certain situations, and by taking that step back and not letting the emotions, that's why I'm saying not anger, because as soon as you let that take over, this is where you can ruin any type of sort of work relationship that you want to build. And that if you can put that aside and actually just think more rationally, why, how, and then come in with the answers and solutions to some of these potential issues when thinking around for the bigger picture, that's when you can open the dialogue, and that's where the change starts to happen. And I will say that we have both been very successful in recent projects with creating these relationships and making very positive connections that are hugely positive for future. And it's always really just important that, yes, okay, we have the massively huge, exciting end goal, like every single tiger is going to live in a huge, big, giant field for the rest of its life. Great. But it's so crucial to remind ourselves that this doesn't come right away. You have to take the baby steps. And this can be very, very hard, especially at the outset, because you just want to go so quick. But the baby steps are so rewarding along the way, even if it seems so small to everyone else, that when you can see where it's going, it's such a positive. And I think this is something that some groups, some organizations lack, and potentially causes more problems when they don't think like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you and I, we've been very lucky where we've got to see those baby steps. You know, we've got to see from day one until, you know, some facilities we've been with them for how many, like 5, 6 years, some 10 years. And I think because we got to see them from day one, we recognize the progression, and, you know, it is baby steps, because a lot of these facilities, a lot of these people who care for these tigers, you know, they're not like in the UK where you have to go to college for it. Some people looked after pigs before, and then suddenly they've got this new job, very exciting, with this new, very stereotypically scary animal. And so it's obvious that, you know, they might do things out of fear. And we just have to be like, okay, we understand that it's scary, because tigers are scary, but do something good. How about do this to make sure that you're safe and the tiger's safe as well? If the keepers aren't happy, the tigers won't be happy, and vice versa. And so if we ensure that everyone's happy, everyone feels secure and safe, that's all we could ever ask for, basically. I don't know if, I'm sure you've spoken to you. Why don't we put captive tigers back into the wild where they belong, Tanya? Why are we keeping them in captivity?
One of my favorite questions. Whilst it would be really delightful to have all the tigers in the wild and none in captivity, it is completely impossible. So tigers born in captivity are generally trained with humans around. A lot of them are raised from very young in the presence of people, and they're very, very used to people interacting with them in some form, even if it is a hands-off or if it's in one of the sort of interaction activities that happens. And because of this, pretty sure if they were thrown out into the wild, they would just go and find the nearest house or village and probably not be aggressive to the person, but more like, hey, people give food. But the person who's unsuspectingly finding a tiger is not going to react the same way, and that's where then accidents and stuff can happen. So unfortunately, it is not a viable option to put these tigers back in the wild. And aside from a welfare side, like I've just mentioned, there is also a sort of conservation side.
Yes, there's the conservation side where, you know, let's say we've got these 5 tigers, we put them in the wild. what wild? So, for example, in Thailand, we've got Khao Yai, which is the big national reserve. However, even with Khao Yai now, we've got massive human-animal conflict with the elephants because it is a symptom of, you know, the forest not being as fruitful as it should be. And if the elephants are coming down, there's nothing stopping the tigers from coming down. And to make matters worse, tigers born in captivity, like a lot of big cats, they lose their instinct over time. And so in some of these places, it's found that captive animals, when released into the wild, are 3 times more likely to starve because they just don't remember, or mum wasn't there to teach them from very, very young. And I mean, it's just, you know, it's just not pragmatic. And I also think the fact that we tend to forget that, you know, these reserves is very close with villages and city. And wouldn't you like to know if the villagers are happy with 6 brand new, very healthy, very big tigers going into that back garden? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be happy if someone were to just plonk down a tiger.
No. So I guess I think one of the other concerns that we haven't touched upon is the subspecies debate.
Yes, so there's the whole debate of what subspecies is there right now of tigers. So, you know, we've got the Amur, we've got the Bengal tiger, which is the Panthera tigris. We've got the Sumatran, we've got the Indo-Chinese. Sometimes they cross over to Cambodia.
And Myanmar. And Malaysia.
And Malaysia. So these are the Indo-Chinese. We've got South Malayan, which is very rare, and the South Chinese, which is very, very rare. However, there has been progress with IUCN that suggests that it is the, you know, the continental tiger and the Sunda tiger, where all of these subspecies we've just mentioned are grouped together. So it would become everybody, you know, from Amur to Bengal.
What's the biggest question that you get asked about captive tigers, especially in the sort of tourism industry?
Are our tigers drugged?
This is probably one of the biggest questions that we get asked as for tigers as well, as to whether the tigers that are doing the interactions with tourists are actually drugged. And it's a problem because this is often used as a sort of welfare issue. And from about 16 years, 6 years of working within one of these tourist facilities and a further 10 years doing welfare assessments around the country, I have never seen any evidence of tigers being drugged. And this is a sore point for me, I'll admit. It's a little bit of a bugbear because there are many, many other reasons why the tigers act the way they do.
The way they do, yes.
Some of them are very natural. Some of them are great.
Yeah.
It's really hot. They're sleeping. Places are open in the afternoon when it's about 38 degrees.
Yes.
I'm not running around at any time soon. If I could lie down with a cocktail next to a swimming pool and not move.
And then we forget as well that tigers are interesting things where their prime nap time is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And what's the prime time people go to these facilities? 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And so they're naturally inclined to take a nap as well.
Tourism facilities, it's usually flipped. They're fed in the morning. So these guys are sated. They're not hungry at all. They don't want to move. They've had some food. They're not interested in doing anything else.
Yeah.
They just want to have a little snooze and that's it. I mean, rightly or wrongly, these guys are also raised from small, so they are used to being patted by humans constantly.
Habituated.
So they are habituated to that.
Yes.
And so they're not necessarily fussed when people say, well, how come it lets me? Well, how come your dog lets you pat it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are dogs that don't, but often there is a process where people will check. Like you will look at personalities of the tigers.
And also as well, people don't realize not all tigers can do this.
Yep.
You and I know tigers that will, you know, flat out refuse to do this. You and I know that, you know, the 5 minutes before the tiger goes under anesthesia and the 5 minutes of it waking up, they're very scared.
Yep.
And so they're very compromised, they're very aggressive. And can you imagine doing that every morning and night?
So you would actually run the risk of actually killing off your tiger after a fair few weeks or months of drugging. So many of them are very inbred, which is a problem. Many of them are super overfed, so they're obese. They literally cannot move. And very unfortunately, some of the handling is not great. So there is
No,
some very
of course.
aversive punishment-based handling, which means that tigers can often end up displaying something called learned helplessness,
Yes,
where
yes.
they stop even responding, which again can sort of look like a sort of vacant stare, a hanging
Apathetic,
head,
QBA.
apathetic, which is something we use in QBA.
Yes.
And that can also translate to somebody who doesn't know to, oh, it looks like it might be drugged, when you don't know what a drugged animal would look like. But it is, obviously, it is still a welfare issue. It's just being overshadowed by an incorrect assumption.
Let's bring our attention back to
Yeah.
the really, the things that need changing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
things that can be changed.
Yeah, I think this is what I'd like for us to kind of make very clear, that you and I combined, we've got more than 25 years of experience with tigers, and in facilities that are not the same. In my facilities that I've worked with, I've never seen evidence of drugging as well. And so I think it goes to show that, this myth, I don't know where it came from. I think it's a very old myth.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think it's about time we put it to rest.
Yes.
So we've talked about a lot of topics today, really, really good topics, and I hope people find it very, very interesting as well. And so, as a sign-off, what are your aspirations for tigers in the future?
Oof, that's a big one. It's quite dramatic, I guess, as I should just basically quote the vision of For Tigers, which is that all tigers, captive tigers in Thailand, can live a good life that's got meaning and that has a high quality of welfare. That would be the dream. I think it might take some time, but I have hopes that this is something that will come to pass in the next maybe 5 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of faith in For Tigers. I mean, there's a reason why I'm working for Tigers as well.
I was going to say, with Luca's backup, with partnership, not backup, but combination, maybe we can actually get it done.
Yeah, and I think that is the aspiration of Luca as well, to support For Tigers, because, a part of me, half of me is animal behavior, but the other big half of me is tigers, I owe a lot of we owe a lot of our accolades to For Tigers, We owe a lot of our accolades to all of the animals we've worked with. And so for Luca as well, I'd like to help all of them, from the bears that I looked after in the morning, to the lions that I'd sometimes look after at lunch, to the tigers, to everyone. And I think hopefully people would like to join us on our fun little journey. It's a very, very good goal, and I'm very, very glad to be able to do this for a living.
It's not the best paid, but you get paid in happy tigers.
Yeah, we're rich in happiness.
Well, let's see what happens this time next year on next Tiger Day.
Yes.
And let's see if we've got some positive news to share in a year's time.
Absolutely.